According to the NCAA, each year an average of $800 million is made due to the sacrifices of all the athletes in college and all the universities. Johnny Manziel, according to one study, brought in $37 million in one season for Texas A&M and never saw one single penny of it. Notre Dame football team made $20 million in one game in 2012 for their national championship, and which, compared to the scholarships that Notre Dame gave out that year, were $52,000. Marvin Williams, a basketball player for North Carolina and an NBA player, said, "You go to Chapel Hill, which is their stadium, and try to see a Duke North Carolina game. Good luck trying to find a ticket. It's nationally televised. There's so much money that goes behind just one game. I do think the players from both sides should definitely see some type of benefit." The purpose of this speech is to persuade y'all to believe that college athletes do deserve compensation for all their work and hard efforts. I'll be focusing on football and basketball for this speech due to the time constraints. There are many problems that go into the fact that college players are not getting a dime for any of their efforts. One of the main problems is that a lot of players are getting paid illegally to come to school, and there's a lot of corruption throughout the college system. Reggie Bush, who was the 2005 Heisman Trophy winner, received over $300,000 worth of gifts, such as cars, anything like that, and he was eventually stripped of his Heisman. Ohio State players a couple years ago were selling their championship rings in the Big Ten for money because they had no money from the college to survive on their own. And in 1991, the Fab Five, which was Michigan's great five freshman basketball team, were allegedly paid $40,000 each to come to Michigan. This problem can be easily fixed. All you have to do is pay these players a reasonable amount of money, and maybe the corruption would slow down and teams would not be able to buy players to their universities. Another problem that goes into it is the players that never make it into the pros and either get hurt in college or other ways like that. Maurice Clarett, who was a great Ohio State running back, faced many allegations for getting paid to play and getting many gifts, and he tried to go to the NFL despite being underage, and they wouldn't let him in. So eventually they just stopped, and once he got finally into the NFL, he was too old and washed out to play. Kevin Ware was a Louisville basketball player, and a couple years ago he broke his leg, and while he still plays at Georgia State, he most likely will not go to the pros anymore due to this injury. And he saw no compensation from Louisville. He lost his full scholarship, everything. So he missed out on a great chance of education just because of an injury. Kyle Hardick was an Oklahoma basketball player in 2009, and he suffered a knee injury, and his scholarship got revoked because it was a career-ending injury, and thus his bills were unpaid for college, so he couldn't transfer anywhere to go get his further education. So he was just stuck at Oklahoma trying to pay bills. With funding from the NCAA, this problem would basically go away because these injured athletes could still go to school even if they're off scholarship due to the money they're receiving from the NCAA each year. Another problem about not paying the athletes is how many professional players go bankrupt nowadays. According to the 2009 Sports Illustrated article, 78% of all NFL players go bankrupt within 2 years of retirement. According to NBA representatives, 60% of NBA players go bankrupt after 5 years of retirement. A couple examples of this: Allen Iverson, who earned over $150 million in total salary, not even including endorsements or anything, he acquired for bankruptcy. Warren Sapp, who was a Super Bowl winning defensive lineman, also filed for bankruptcy. And Antoine Walker was a basketball player in the NBA who basically spent all his salary on his friends and partying and gambling like that. This problem could be erased very easily because if you pay the players just a little bit in college, it begins to teach them about being financially responsible, budgeting their money, and they don't become millionaires before they make their first $5,000. The last problem that has come out of not paying college players is the one and done system in basketball, which has mainly been used by Coach Calipari at Kentucky. And basically they go for a year and get their eligibility for the draft so they can go up to the NBA. These players would stay a lot longer if they had a financial support behind them, because they have so much pressure from their families and that they have to make the jump to the NBA as fast as possible to help their families in need, because the NCAA isn't giving them anything to help their families. I'd like to end my speech on a quote by the NCPA president, Ramogi Huma. If nothing changes, about half of football and basketball players will continue to not graduate, will break NCAA rules. If reform takes place, graduation rates will increase dramatically. Their financial desperation will be reduced, and they'll finally receive their commercial free market value, which is basically what I was saying the whole time. If you pay the players, they tend to stay longer and graduate. They learn how to financially budget their money, and also their financial desperation will be reduced, meaning they will not want to accept as much money from colleges illegally. I wanted to end the speech on a question for y'all. What if you worked extremely hard for 6 to 8 hours a day every week, and you go home and you can't even buy your own groceries? That's a lot of the position that these players are in while they're in college. So that is why I think college athletes deserve to have financial compensation for their efforts.